consumer economy. We are in the constant act of acquiring and discarding. If all of us stopped buying tomorrow and only acquired the things that we absolutely needed, much of our capitalist system would collapse.
Every day, Americans spend more than $16 billion on food, $180 million on music, video and electronics, and over $1 billion on clothes. We live hectic lives, earning the money we need to buy the things we want. We think we're the ones making the choices of what we wear, what we eat, and what we buy. But there's something going on behind the storefront that we're completely unaware of. An army of marketers, designers, salespeople and strategists are thinking up techniques to catch our eye, to draw us in, to get us to part with our cash. For them, we're not just a customer, we're targets. Paco Underhill is a retail anthropologist. He studies human shopping behaviour in stores and uses this information to advise retailers on how to sell to us. Like his British counterpart Simon Scammell-Katz, Paco is one of a new breed of consultants who make a science of shopping. The more the consultants know about human behaviour, the better they can target consumers. You'd never know it, but when you're shopping, there may be people like these watching your every move. They advise the stores themselves on how best to display the goods they stock, and they advise the manufacturers on how to display their products so we will buy them.
One of the fundamental realities of our lives is that most of us don't need anything. We could live the rest of our lives on pasta, fruit, vegetables, wine, olive oil, and maybe occasional yearly doses of underwear and socks. Everything in the 21st century is a discretionary purchase.
From the best position to place something as simple as a box of dishwashing detergent on a supermarket shelf, to creating a pleasing smell to greet you when you enter the store, nothing's left to chance.
If you think to yourself, well, you start outside and you want to intrigue someone in, and then having intrigued them in, you then want to seduce them into buying something.
I see my customer as my audience. You know, I really do want them to be delighted because I want them to love me. I want them to come back and find me.
Almost all of us involved in retail were trained to fight wars. Sainsbury against Tesco, Coke against Pepsi. What it's come down to is really not a war. It's a 21st century bar fight where everybody is competing with everyone else for the customer's discretionary expenditure. And that's a frightening prospect.
Frightening because the marketing world is reaching into our lives with ever more sophisticated tactics. While retail consultants like Paco Underhill are devising new ways to target modern consumers, basic sales techniques have changed very little for centuries. Traders in the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul in Turkey have been hawking their wares for 550 years. The market is a cacophony of sound, a riot of colour, jammed full of buyers and sellers. Eric Kuhn is an architect who designs shopping centres and malls. He's come to Istanbul to draw inspiration from an ancient culture. He's taking ideas from the past to help him build the retail spaces of the future.
Trade is what brings the city to life. I mean, all the senses clicking on overload, people gathering around, arguing the bargaining that's going on. It's commerce that what gives vitality to any community. And here you're finding the best of it.
There are plenty of lessons Eric thinks contemporary salespeople can learn from something as old as the bazaar.
40 and we got a deal.
$80, we got a deal.
For now, he's learning the art of bartering.
What's your best price?
40, come on.
Let's make like this. Not yours, not mine. $60, okay?
$50?
$50.
50?
You got it.
Okay, all right, $50. All right.
The art of selling can be learnt by experience or taught by a pro. Jeff Birch is a sales coach in the UK. He travels from store to store advising sales teams on how to turn a browser into a buyer. One of his clients is a large English chain called Halfords that sells auto accessories. The problem he's got to solve is that while some of the staff know a lot about the products on offer, they don't know the techniques that will convince their customers to buy them.
I really enjoy selling. Selling to me is an absolute passion. And maybe I can get some of that passion to sort of wear off on some of the staff. How strong are these things?
Very, very strong. Two they've actually done a test. They had one on the 4x4 and they actually rode it down the side.
All of this business of customer research, what the customer's attitudes are, store layout, all of these things are great, but the actual tactics on the floor are actually generated by the salespeople themselves.
It's very, very rigid when it's on top of the vehicle.
Now, what you were doing there was something incredibly good. You know, I was trying to entice you into banging it about to show me how strong it was.
Right.
Now, this is strong.
Very strong.
It's very good. But instead of handling it like, you know, whoa, like that, you were actually touching it with respect. You were handling it nicely. You were now what you're doing there is adding value for the customer.
In the car audio section, the salesman is about to fall into a classic trap, knowing more than the customer and showing it.
My missus has got an A-class, and she's got the basic Sony.
Blackwood.
Yeah. No,
So it's correct.
Actually, we kind of started off mildly on the wrong foot. It's because we had it started with an argument. Because you said Blaupunkt, and I said Sony. Now, actually, this little coaching trip here is, even when the customer's, there's an old chestnut that says the customer is always right.
Yeah. It's really great.
You hate that idea, don't you? You really hate that idea.
I say all the A-class of that.
When I do secret shopping, I will contradict salespeople and see what their reaction is, because that's one of the biggest mistakes you can ever make. You never argue with a customer. The oldest dictum of all, the customer is always right. Always. Even when they're wrong, they're right. Hello, you lot.
Salespeople learn secret codes to make sure they make their sale.
Yeah, not so bad.
The aim of all these techniques is to get the customer to the cash register.
I'm kind of a bit cynical about these things, but there's one that's still, it's the oldest one in the world, but it still holds true, and it's called AIDA, or AIDA, depending whether you have a classical education. And it stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And that kind of works. It means that if you haven't got the customer's attention, you'll never sell to them. So that's why you should always greet a customer, morning, put on some kind of great display. Interest. Boy, have I got something for you today. It's that, what's he got? Just look at this, isn't this gorgeous? The desire, the juices, yum, yum, yum.
A 750 foot pack, which consists of your 4 feet.
Right.
Then it's...
When I'm training sales staff, they look at me and they say, well, I couldn't do what you do, Jeff. Why not? No. They say, well, it's the gift of the gab. You've got the gift of the gab. No, that's the trick. It's not the gift of the gab. It's the gift of the ear hole. It's you listen people into buying from you.
See, that's going, again, in a different price bracket, and also I'm restricted them with the height.
How often can you skin a sheep? Only once. But if you have sheep and you cuddle them and love them and look after them, and they come up to you and go, it's a bit hot, will you say, oh, yeah, would you like me to take that wool off you? Oh, please, yeah. You can shear a sheep for the whole of its life. And that's the thing with customers. The customer has to be nurtured. And the real judge of success, do you see them again? because if they don't come back, then you've got real trouble. I want my customers to love me. I want to be loved, and people love people who show interest in them.
Showing an interest is taken to an extreme at this fashion store in Los Angeles.
I just got back from New Orleans.
How was it? Fun. Good.
But I've been thinking about that Chloe shipment you got in.
Honey, I got it for you in the back. Come on back here, let me show you.
Summer C. Rush is not just your average saleswoman. She's a personal shopper at the Tracy Ross Boutique in Beverly Hills.
You're going to die when you see these pants. My role is to guide them to what's new and what's hot, and just, I think, also to confirm their self-worth. I know. People get from shopping, I feel good, you know, these clothes are beautiful.
This is orgasmic.
I know. That translates into how I help them. You know, I'm giving them amazing service, they feel fabulous, and I'm kind of there to aid in that.
So brilliant.
Oh, a fashion therapist.
Should I try it on with this?
Try it with that. I would say like 75% of the people who shop here are regulars.
I do like to venture in the store, even though Summer pulls stuff for me.
Yeah,
Because it's actually part of my therapy.
When I'm stressed out or when my customers are stressed out, they come in here and they're like, okay, show me what's new. Ugh, love this top. It's very therapeutic for them because Tracy's like established this whole thing where she's, you know, like they're really good friends. So they come in here and you know, everyone talks and they do a little shopping and they get a little therapy. And when you walk out the door, it takes away something. You feel much better about yourself. It wipes that away. It's kind of like a drug. They're so fine. They're gonna stretch perfectly. You don't want them any looser because then it's gonna have those
So they're
bags
supposed
there.
to be really tight.
Yeah. I think to some extent, shopping can make you happy. Yeah. It's like with anything. People have their different vices. And shopping doesn't hurt anyone, so why not?
For the lucky few, $555 isn't too much to pay for a little care and attention. The relationship between buyer and seller is so central to our way of life that it's even the focus of academic study.
I'm Jim.
James Twitchell is a professor at Florida University. He's observing the sales techniques used to sell luxury brands like Gucci, Armani, and Chanel. At the luxury end of the market, the idea is to appear like you're not selling. You take your cue from the customer.
Okay, so these?
Those.
Okay, these, and these are just these?
Just these.
Okay,
So what you do is you sell things.
yes.
But when I was watching you, I never had a feeling that you were selling. You were just sort of moving along with the customer.
Correct, Well, you
Now-
would never sell something. You would just show them what they like and try and figure out what their style is and go from there.
Where are you finding the price?
Well, I know them off the top of my head.
But where would I find them?
Well, I'd tell you the price if you asked for them. But in the store, a lot of times people don't ask the price. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Hi, how are you?
With his lesson in the art of sales under his belt, James Twitchell seeks the luxury treatment for himself. At Ferre, on Rodeo Drive, he's looking for a suit.
So what is all this about selling? I mean, if what you're saying is true, then where does the salesman come in? I mean, he comes
Just
in
kind
because
of
he...
to guide you and
Okay.
to make you feel comfortable. Maybe, you know, there's a certain idea that you might want to buy, and I'll know, you know, from knowing my merchandise, what you would like.
Is this where you start me?
Yeah, if you're looking for a suit, I'll start you here, and you know, give you
Then
that.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm
So
saving
yeah,
if I move down
exactly. These are the most expensive, so you
So
know what
let's-
the top quality is.
Can I find a price on this suit?
Yeah, but normally it's not easily found, you know,
You
by
got
the
it.
customer. They'll be fishing
Yeah,
around
yeah.
in here. Normally
Yeah,
they don't
okay.
like to ask.
Are we talking about lira or are we talking dollars?
Dollars.
This is a $3,000 suit.
Yeah,
This is a $3,000 suit.
$3,000.
You can buy a car for
Handmade.
$3,000.
Yeah, I know.
Does
But
anybody ever say
won't-
that to you?
You won't look as good in a $3,000 car as you will
No,
in a
that's true.
$3,000 suit.
That's true.
You know, at the end of the season, these will go on sale. You know?
Could the end of the season be in another hour?
Anything's negotiable.
Even at one of the most expensive stores in Beverly Hills, the oldest sales technique in the book amazingly still applies: haggling.
Can you talk to the managers anyway? That can be, you know, more of a discount.
Okay, now I consider that to be kind of a vulgar conversation that I might have at Kmart.
All right.
But I don't think when I come here to Rodeo Drive that I can talk that way.
You'd be surprised.
But I can.
Most men prefer bargains. If a woman absolutely loves what the guy puts on, inevitably the guy will end up buying it. If the woman doesn't like it, he won't even give it a second thought.
So this must be what it feels like to be the king.
Yeah.
It's working.
You see?
It is working.
Look sharp. Look at this. Just go out there, pretend to smoke.
Hi, girls.
Really listening and not really selling. It's anything but selling. Like with acting, it's anything but acting. I try to relate to you as a human being, not like someone I want to sell to.
I'm feeling powerful. Yes. Yes, indeed. You're fired. You're out of here.
Consumers are fast-moving targets. The most successful salespeople know how hectic their customers' lives are. They invent creative new solutions for busy lifestyles. There's a store in Soho in New York where the owners understand that their customers want to be fashionable, have a sense of style, but don't have time to create it. The apartment solves their problem for them. They sell good taste. The apartment looks like a trendy New York loft. There are no price tags on any of the furniture or equipment for sale. The store has a fully decked out kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, living room and study, complete with everything.
The first thing they noticed is that the bathroom's floor is made of rock, so they seem to have a lot of fun with that. Usually in the summertime, I know people would come in with slides and sandals on, and they would just take them off and sort of like walk around, almost playing in the bathroom. And then what really shocked them was when they realized that everything actually worked, especially the shower. And you find that a lot of people got very wet.
It's naturally aiming at people who are like us.
Strange, that is.
People who appreciate really great design and having beautiful things in their lives.
There was a big thing in the 90s, I think, where a lot of people, or 80s, bridging 80s and 90s, where people were ashamed of having nice things, and I think that era is kind of ending now.
But it's not as simple as just selling good taste. The trick here is to make sure that the customer doesn't just buy one object. They're so impressed with the whole design, they buy the lot.
We have an entertainment center, so we sell the TV, we sell the movies, we sell the music. We sell everything that you would find in your home, and everything has to be in context, meaning if it's in your house, then it's got to be the same way here.
We have a lot of people who come themselves a few times, but then they also want to bring a family member or a friend to experience a different way of shopping. So for those people, we want to keep it fresh too, so there's always something new.
We still have people coming in who actually think that people live here. Some of them actually want to live here too. They're like, oh, so could I sleep over tonight? And they'll, you know, sort of make as if they knew us for years and just come in, hang out on the couch, watch TV.
Basically, it meant that it worked. That we had created an environment where people were comfortable enough to let their facade kind of dissolve just enough for them to really appear and be themselves.
Most of the time, spending time here and looking around and enjoying it with friends really causes that sale.
The food displayed in the open on the stalls in Istanbul's Grand Bazaar might horrify Western consumers who are used to more hygienic packaging. But again, Eric Kuhn has found a lesson for today's retailers in the way the colours and smells excite the senses.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's it. Perfect. The sterility of a supermarket shelf compared to this, I mean, my gosh. I mean, this is more theater than it is anything else, and certainly raises sustenance to the level of a performance art. I mean, it's just magic here. Yeah, just about this much here, not a lot. Can we get some olive paste too? What everybody is discovering now in contemporary retailing is that if you don't excite the senses, if you don't create a bit of an experience of theatrical performance, then you've lost it. But look at this exhibit this guy has here. You could line up all the fit-out designers in the world and not do better than this. I mean, bare bulbs over circular dishes of fish. I mean, you just want to reach in there and just scoop up piles of the stuff. It's just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. That's good, okay, thank you. You know, we've, in many ways, the antiseptic, the pure, the packaging that goes on in European and American stores, I think we've lost what makes it all so powerful. These things engage the senses. Look, the colors, the smells, the tastes. Just being able to come in and grab a pistachio, have a bit of a taste. I think this is where retailing is going to have to go back to. The fabulous display, the spectacular colors on parade. In a sense, you know, we're not spectators of life. Shopping is what life is all about. And I think for us, to be able to see some of this stuff come back into contemporary retailing is the only way the retailing is definitely going to have a future.
This may look like food, but it's not. The age-old technique of the open-air market was the inspiration for the British cosmetic chain Lush, set up 6 years ago by Mark Constantine. Constantine had previously worked for the international chain The Body Shop. He then set up his own store as a direct competitor. His new idea was that fresh cosmetics could sell in the same way as fresh food.
There are very few things that are very basic to us, and freshness is one of them. I don't think anyone's ever done that with cosmetics.
Lush took the basic ingredients, natural flowers, fresh fruits, herbs, plant extracts and essential oils, and displayed them in their pure form without packaging. It was a risky idea.
When we first did it, I was petrified. And I thought, public never going to understand this. I mean, literally, I was hiding out the back. I was so scared the first day. I just thought I'd blown a great opportunity. And then when we opened it up, people came in and they started doing it. You know, you thought, God, they're going to do it. You know, I mean, that was very special.
The idea paid off. Over 6 years, Constantine has built up 95 stores around the world and is now worth over $50 million. Mark Constantine understands that appealing to our senses is a good way to persuade us to buy his products. He did it by instinct. Others are finding out the importance of senses in selling, but they're doing it with science. Gerald Zaltman is a professor of marketing at Harvard Business School. He makes a study of how our brains process information from vision, touch, sound, and smell.
The senses are important partly as a source of metaphor for us. They have great meaning. But the importance from a retail standpoint is, I think, best illustrated by the answer to a simple question is, why do we have senses? Why do we have the capacity to smell, to touch, to hear, to see, to taste? And the answer is to understand our world. And we're just beginning to understand how to engineer sensory experiences in a retail setting.
The first technique used by retailers to set a mood in stores was music. In trendy fashion stores, loud pop music sends out a signal that fits the brand message of the company. Whereas in a supermarket, the music is designed to slow you down, relax you, and keep you there longer. Scientists are now discovering that smell may influence buying behavior more than previously thought. The reason is our brain processes smell more quickly than the other senses. Smell is the new frontier in retailing.
The sense of smell is important to retailers for a number of reasons. not only does it register in our cerebral cortex, you know, this is a good smell, this is a smell of something fresh or not, but it registers first and most powerfully in our emotional brain, or emotional areas of our brain, where a judgment is made faster than a thought, you know, unconsciously. And because it acts so quickly in the areas where unconscious thought lives, it has a major influence on our behavior, how long we want to stay in the store, whether we find it energizing or sleepy, whatever. It does so in a way that's less conscious to us. So smell has become, in an evolutionary sense, very important. It's one of the earliest things that we detect. To go from the nerve endings in our nose directly to the emotional part of the brain requires something like 3 or 4 jumps, in contrast to a touch requiring maybe 1,000.
Because smell is such an abstract sense, very little work had been done on how it affects buying, until a recent study in Pullman, Washington, by Eric Spangenberg.
One of the things that really came out of our first series of studies was that a store could distinguish itself in some way using scent.
Professor Spangenberg tested 2 kinds of scent. Firstly, the sweet-smelling vanilla, and then a scent called Rose Maroc, which has a slightly spicy aroma.
The Rose Maroc was the scent that was identified in our pre-testing as more appropriate to masculine subjects, and it was evaluated more positively as an environmental scent that men would like. On the other hand, vanilla is the scent that we identified for more appropriate for women.
Professor Spangenberg set up his experiment in the menswear section of a clothing store in Pullman. Over a period of 15 days, he tested the scents and how they affected the buying behavior of the people who came into the store.
We found that men evaluated the store more positively under the male scent condition. We found that they evaluated the merchandise more positively. We found that they were more likely to return to visit the store. They spent more time in the store. And perhaps most importantly, from a retailer's perspective, they spent more money. Indeed, in some instances, up to 350% more.
It sets a mood. And there's a process, a phenomenon called synesthesia, which has to do with one sense invoking another sense. And so a fragrance might make a particular scene, visual scene, more attractive. So there's evidence that the right fragrance could cause a store environment to be seen as more pleasing because of the way the fragrance interacts with vision. And the same thing with audition. Sound and smell also can interact.
Everybody uses music everywhere now, and we've come to expect it. And I think that perhaps diffusing smells in the retail environment could be the Muzak of the new millennium.
For retail anthropologist Paco Underhill, the visual experience is still the most important. This starts the moment the customer walks through the doors.
We call this a landing strip, or a decompression zone. It's where we're downshifting from 4th to 3rd to 2nd. It's where our eyes are adjusting to changing light and our peripheral vision is expanding. Part of what a good store is, a good mall is tuning its communication systems to the physical aspects of how we move and how we see.
Like his American contemporary Paco Underhill, Simon Scammell-Katz investigates how people move around the store environment. This time, he's in a supermarket in the UK.
What happens when people come into stores is that they need to assimilate the new environment they've just entered. So quite often what you see from the eye movement is a navigational scan. And it takes them some time to actually adjust to being in the new environment. So they'll come in for 2, 3, 4, 5 metres before they switch into the fact that they're now into the store. And it's only at that point that they then start to realise, recognise and engage with the environment they're in.
Closed-circuit TV cameras are now a familiar sight in stores. For security reasons, they're everywhere. But there's another kind of observer. Consultants like Scammell Katz are filming our every move, analysing our shopping behaviour and selling that information to the manufacturers whose products are vying for our attention.
We study the way that shoppers behave in stores. And the way that we do that is to typically film them. And that allows us to understand what people do, what they actually do, and why they do it, why they make the certain decisions that they make. About 80% of the decisions that people make in store are made subconsciously. So using traditional research techniques, exit polls, focus groups and so forth, only give you a real surface covering of what actually happens in the store.
The supermarket is an intensely competitive place. There are only so many customers with only so much money. For the manufacturer, the trick is to make sure it's their product that ends up in your shopping cart.
The biggest jobs are the supermarket jobs. We have loads of those, and we track people going around the store, generally looking at how they shop. We'd have anything up to 60 cameras in that store with a cameraman operating it, or we would have fixed cameras as well. It could take 40 minutes to film them shopping around the store. It would take me 6 hours to watch it, and it's generally every movement that they're doing, we're writing it down. And we would just have different codes for different actions that they actually do around that store.
In this study, the supermarket has asked them to evaluate the layout of dairy produce. A brand of yoghurt which particularly appeals to children has been placed on a shelf too high for them to reach.
What we learned from this was because of the 25% of the selections were made by children, and because of that, we've brought all the children's products lower down so that they're easier for children to make that interaction, read the packaging, and actually make the selection themselves.
For a manufacturer, it is crucial that your brand is in the right place, in the right aisle, on the right shelf. It can make the difference of millions of dollars, and manufacturers will go to extraordinary lengths to get the right position. Today, Scammell Katz is working for a British potato chip company called Walker's. They are the brand leader. He needs to find out if the potato chips are in the best position in the supermarket. And to do that, he's using a unique piece of equipment called an eye mark recorder.
Don't worry about your ears. If you think anybody's looking at your ears now, put this on your head. No.
The origin of the equipment is actually from some work that was done for NASA for the layout of the cockpit of the shuttle. You have a lightweight helmet that contains a tiny TV camera, and then cleverly reflected into the cornea of the eye is an infrared beam. That infrared beam tracks the movement of the cornea, and that track, a bit like a radar, is then superimposed onto the view from the scene camera. So I have a picture of, as my head moves around, what I'm looking at, and then superimposed onto that is a white dot that jumps around, and that's actually what I'm looking at.
For this experiment, Scammell Katz chose 2 guinea pig shoppers and used the eye mark recorder to follow their eye movements as they walked around the supermarket. He didn't tell them what he was trying to find out. Manufacturers have discovered that the best position to have your product is in the middle of the aisle on the eye-level shelf. That's because customers move more quickly when they turn the corner into the aisle. It's only when they reach the middle that they're able to give their full attention. Scammell Katz found that the potato chips were in the middle of the aisle, but not on the right shelf. They say in the business that eye level is buy level. Traditionally, it's been believed that eye level is level with the eyes, and that's where the potato chips were displayed. Scammell Katz believes it's actually the shelf below.
Traditionally within the industry, eye level was seen as being level with one's eyes, and what we've learnt from the eye mark recorder is that we naturally look between 15 and 30 degrees downwards. So in fact, eye level is down here, and it's not up here. We naturally look downwards. It's an effort to actually look up to what was traditionally seen as eye level.
It's very interesting. It's very in-depth. You don't realise quite what goes into thinking about a store layout and what would make you possibly buy a product other than the price.
As in that we haven't done things that are going to make it harder for people to shop.
Scammell Katz works for a range of clients.
That we make it easy for our customers to shop.
Today he is advising London menswear store Burton on layout.
Obviously, in terms of the form...
Displaying your product at the right level is crucial, whatever the merchandise.
I think the problem we've got, this is too high. This is way above eye level. So my natural eye level is going to be here. Your communication's right up the top there. We've got a clearance of, I don't know, 300-400 mil here. I'd drop them down perhaps another 100 mil just to make these more accessible, particularly for the female shopper, you know, that's perhaps going to be doing the research or whatever. She's going to be down here, so it's actually quite difficult to see the product.
Bizarrely, even the floor covering can affect shopping behaviour. Scammell Katz has found that customers are reluctant to cross from a paved area to a carpeted section of the shop. It's like an invisible barrier.
Coming into any store environment, if there's a change in floor finish, whether it's going from hard to soft, so in a mall typically you'll have a hard finish on the wall, on the mall, and then a carpet as you come in. Subconsciously we recognise that, and subconsciously it's a barrier to coming in. And what they've done here is actually taken the hard finish, exactly the same finish that the mall have used, and actually brought that into the entrance part of the store.
The main aim in a clothing store, or any department store, is to get you to look at all the merchandise. So the layout is carefully designed to make sure you walk around the whole store. This women's clothing store in London has been deliberately designed to entice the shoppers to the end of the store, then encourage them to circulate upstairs.
So we're using colour, we're using light, we're using washes on walls. And what you do is, it's a very complicated phrase, but we kind of control people's vistas. A vista being the thing in the far distance that allows them to walk down there and get to it. We need to have interesting things that attract the eye, because what we want to do is encourage people to circulate around. We want people to see as much of the product as possible, partly because we want them to buy it, but partly because we want them to see what's available.
And to slow the shopper down, Oasis has introduced pamper areas for girls to redo their makeup and seating for boyfriends. A bored or frustrated boyfriend will always curtail his girlfriend's shopping journey.
Now, what is it that people are talking about when they walk out the door? They're talking about areas for boyfriends and pamper areas and interesting, larger fitting rooms. This is all about shopping. It's not about picking a product and paying for it and going home.
Less than a year after opening, Oxford Street is now the flagship Oasis store. Slowing you down and keeping you shopping is the aim not just of the store itself, but of the whole retail environment. Here at Bluewater, the largest shopping mall in Europe, the architecture is designed to make the shopper feel inspired, elevated, to think, wow, this is an incredible place, I want to spend some time here. And I want to spend some money here too. The architect, Eric Kuhn. His inspiration, Istanbul.
The arch and the dome and the barrel vault have been part of trading architecture throughout the world. It's an extraordinary mix, working together as one complete experience. The clear story light allows that beautiful light coming in, whether it's hazy or sunlit outside, and at nighttime, the reflected lights off the ceiling bounce that warm glow of light down onto the customer and the merchandise that make the Grand Bazaar one of the most intimate and intricate shopping experiences anywhere on the globe. We liken what we do to building a theater. But an empty theater, an empty playhouse means nothing without a play. And the tenants and the retailers are the ones that perform the plays, and the audience is the customer.
Eric Kuhn is not the only one to draw on the ancient world for ideas. A mall of a very different kind has taken its inspiration from an even more distant past. The Forum shops were added to the casino at Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, 10 years ago. Their theme is Roman mythology. At the Forum, time itself is manipulated. The sky projected onto the ceiling evolves a cycle of a whole day and night in just 1 hour. The trick here is to disorient the shopper, so they spend hours enjoying the spectacle and, of course, the shopping.
And you really don't know whether it's day or night outside, and I think it's done very consciously because they want to keep you here and keep moving along.
It's never ending. There's plenty of time.
I always head straight to the Forum when I'm in Vegas, and it's wonderful. It reminds me of New York, where you could just walk along and go into shop after shop.
Shopping some more, and eat, and then shop some more. When I'm in the foreign shop, I have no clue as to what time it is. And that's something that's advantageous to the casino because I lose track of my day. Whereas in New York, I clearly know it's 4 p.m., I need to go do errands, or I need to return to work. But here, it's just never ending.
In Las Vegas, the trick is to make you stay longer. The visitors to the West Edmonton Mall in Canada never go anywhere else. They've got it figured out here. The idea is if you can get the people in, offering retail, leisure, and entertainment, you can keep them here for days. The architects have thought of everything: fun fair, amusement park rides, a vast man-made lake, and their very own aquarium.
Unbelievable. We have been here since, what, 12 o'clock? Yeah. And we've hardly seen anything yet. We've stopped, but you keep getting distracted by all the things that's around. It's not just shops, it's entertainment, wining, dining, theatre, live theatre.
We're not going to get home from shopping tonight till 8:30.
And after the shopping, there's no need to go anywhere else. You can retire to the mall's own themed hotel.
Extremely popular, of course, for weddings and anniversaries and other celebrations like that. What's fun, too, is that you've got the bunk beds there for the kids, but they're in the county jail. So welcome to the igloo room. This is actually my favorite room. As you can see here, by the jacuzzi, we have a glacier with the seal's head coming out from underneath the glacier. Some of the art here is Inuit art that we have, some of the sculptures. If you look at the coffee table, you've got a polar bear cub playfully under there.
It seems there's no corner of our lives the shopping centre leaves unexplored. The people who create them understand our psychology, so they recreate some of the things we would expect to see in a normal community, like an old folks dance, sporting events, even a church. At the biggest mall in the US, Minnesota's Mall of America, you can even tie the knot.
Let us please stand.
Today, Tara is marrying Jody.
Those whom God has joined together, let no one separate. We may kiss.
I love to shop. It's my passion. So I thought, hey, let's get married in the mall. And it's very private, very quaint, and I like that, and they're very professional here.
It's wonderful how it really can be very private and personal and intimate, which is quite a contradiction in what people usually think of the, you know that what they usually think of the Mall of America.
I suppose we'll have to come here for an anniversary.
Yeah.
A shopping mall might seem a bizarre place to get married, but this is only one of 475 marriages performed at the Mall of America every year. Just at the point when retailers think they've got us pegged, they understand our lives and they understand our psychology, they're facing a new challenge. Consumers live in a time-pressured world, so we're turning to a new retail location which will save us time: the internet. The internet is challenging traditional retailers by offering us shopping at the click of a mouse.
Well, I think that in part it's because it makes things easy for busy people. So one of the things about the internet is it saves you a ton of time. And something we all know about the early 21st century is that we're even more busy than we were in the 20th century. And it seems that's a trend that's likely to continue. So if you can shop from your office or shop from your home and have the products delivered straight to your office or your home, that really is very convenient for people.
What does all this mean for the store of the future? We'll be shopping for the experience rather than the pleasure of the purchase. There is a store in downtown Chicago that's a tourist destination in its own right. Every week, around 36,000 people visit the Niketown flagship store. That's more visitors than all the city art galleries and museums put together. At Niketown, the consumer is made to feel that they're a part of a great sporting world, with Nike at the center of that world. In this store, being part of the brand experience is what is important. Buying the goods will naturally follow. The idea of the brand experience is really beginning to take hold. Metreon in San Francisco has been designed as one of the coolest urban places to go. Only 2 years old, it's already become the place where San Franciscans spend the whole day, trying everything from video cameras to virtual reality games.
Because they got a lot of video games you can play, and they got a big movie theater. It's cool for, like, you know, San Francisco, and a little mall with, like, fun activities for the kids. And basically, this thing is just to get people, customers, to come more and buy stuff. Yep.
It's pretty good. I mean, the PlayStation setting here and everything, I mean, it's new and everything, but the games are great. It's fun to come here, just hang out, watch some movies. It's fun.
Hey, have you tried one of these machines before? No, it's really fascinating. How does it work?
Metreon is definitely a Sony branded experience, and you can see that in so many different ways. I believe that making an incredible entertainment experience is really the only way you can get people to come to the retail experience.
I got Zero over here. So.
People are thrilled with the store. This is an environment they come into, and everybody that comes away is saying, wow, that's a different way to look at technology. The technology we present is at the cutting edge. We're providing the newest features in gaming. We're providing the newest features in our business software. So this is a place where they can experience that and see how it does fit into their lifestyle.
These stores are just the beginning. In the future, consumers will be demanding that everything from fashion to food is a shopping experience.
The store of the future will be a variation off of the farmer's market, where I get to go to a place where I talk to the person that baked the bread, who caught the fish, where the acquisition of goods is a pleasure.